What's up, everyone? So there's pretty much a good chance that if you guys are watching this video, you guys are probably trying to get some information on the Cruz 165 millimeter cranks. Anyways, I just received it in the mail, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a quick unboxing of the Cruz cranks. Also, we're going to check and see what the weights are and also install it onto the enduro bike. Alright guys, so let's get this baby opened up and see what's going on. And as you guys can see, packaging is relatively plain. Nothing home to write about. I mean, that's fine as long as the product itself is good. I mean, product or the packaging is going to be thrown away anyways, right? Anyways, this particular set is just a crank set with the bottom bracket. Let's see, this is a left-hand side crank, and it looks pretty good. Machining looks good. You know, it doesn't. I don't see any issues really. Nice little finish to it. And yeah, and then what's also cool is they give you the actual the M18 bolt, and it is aluminum from what I'm seeing. So that's actually pretty cool too, but so far this looks pretty nice. Let's put this down. Let's look at the drive side. So this is the drive side right here. The crank arms obviously look pretty good. Spindle is I believe it's a 24 millimeter. I'm not quite sure. I think it's 24. This particular crank is direct mount. So basically the chain ring sits here, and then it's secured onto the crank 3 bolts, which they have also provided. Looks like Torx. And then the bottom bracket that actually comes with the kit. It's nothing fancy or nothing to write about, but it's pretty basic actually. But I guess if you had to, you could use these. And it does not spin freely, but that's to be expected. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be pretty much weighing just the cranks themselves, no bottom bracket or anything like that. So left, or the drive side I mean, and right side, that's 343.1 grams. We'll add in the bolt as well as the left crank. Comes out to 558.2, and then probably a few more grams for the bolts themselves that fasten the chain ring over to the cranks. So since we got that out of the way, let's go actually install this on the baby. Alright guys, so first things first, we're gonna take off the old cranks. These were really good actually, but you know, it's just 170 millimeters, just too big for me, so we're gonna take this baby out. And pretty simple, it's just the bolts. Next things next, we're just gonna take a rag, kind of wipe it all down. This is relatively clean because I just packed the bearings with grease not too long ago actually. Since I'm gonna be using the same chain ring, I am going to just take off the chain ring from the old cranks and put it onto the 165 millimeter cranks. So now we're just gonna remove the chain ring from the crank arm. You just gotta kind of wiggle it out sometimes, and it should come out just like that. So now that we've done that, the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna install the chain ring onto the new cranks. To install it, there's 3 holes in a particular pattern. 2 of the holes are actually closer to one another, and you just align it with the holes there. And it sits good. So now we're just going to put in the bolts. I like to thread it by hand first, and then tighten it up in a little bit with the socket. Alright, so now that we got that, what we're going to be doing next actually is just put a nice light coating of grease on the spindle itself. And again, you don't need a whole lot, just enough. It's actually a little bit more than what I wanted, but whatever. This will help out with insertion. Alright, so now that we got this pretty much lubed up and ready to be inserted, just going to put it into the drive side. Alright, just like that. And give it a tap just to make sure it's in there fully, or a few taps. Sometimes it doesn't go in fully. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the left arm crank and we are going to install this. Sometimes it's important to note that from the factory these things come out a little bit tightened or a little too tight already, so just make sure it's nice and loose. And the way that you want to install it is obviously they're going to be separate or opposite from one another, right? So if one pedal's down, other pedal's going to be up. But also this groove right here, there's actually a notch that's going to help you, you know, align it properly. So, yep. So just put it on, just like that. Pow. And once that is on, we're going to take the tension or the preload screw. Just going to thread this on. Just be careful with threading this because this is aluminum. You don't want to overdo it. Alright, so when it comes to the preload screw and all of that stuff, I'm kind of a little bit different. I like to kind of tighten it as tight as possible first to make sure that this is fully like seated. And then after that, I start to basically undo the preload screw until it gets to the point where there's not a whole lot of tension. So let's do that now. So this is the preload screw actually on, as tight as I can do it by hand. And you can see it's not spinning freely. So the next thing I normally do is I start to back off, usually half a turn at a time first. It's a little bit alright. Let's try 1/4 of a turn. You see now it's a little too it's too much slack. And basically to know that there's too much slack is when you actually move the crank arm, you can feel it like moving. Basically, yeah. So we're going to tighten it up a little bit more. And you want to get it to the point where when you move the crank arm left and right, you're not feeling it. Basically, you know, you're not feeling the slack. There shouldn't be any slack, and it should be able to move relatively freely, just like that. Alright guys, so now we got it to a point where I'm not feeling any kind of movement when I move the cranks left and right, and there's pretty good decent flow, or it spins relatively freely. Again, these bottom bracket bearings of mine I probably need to just change already. So at that point in time, I'm going to assume that it's actually pretty good. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten up the 2 bolts on the side that lock it into place. I'm going to use my ratchet just to be able to tighten it a little bit more. And this is actually what tightens it really all. That bolt earlier, that's just for the preload. That doesn't, you know, it helps, but this is actually what keeps the cranks from falling off. Perfect. Alright, so after that, we are pretty much done. You just got to put in your pedals, put your chain back on, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and till the next video, guys. Peace.